All right, welcome into LASMNY and RISE's town hall on domestic violence, sexual assault. We're going to talk about family court as well. But I want to introduce everybody on the call right now. And first, we'll start with Lauren, who's the managing attorney at Legal Aid Society of Mid New York in our Binghamton offices.
Hi.
Do you want to talk a little bit about your background, how long you've been with Legal Aid, and what your specific area of focus is?
Sure. So I've been with Legal Aid. It'll be almost 11 years. It'll be 11 years in September. I have been practicing family law the entire time. Our office has the family court contract for Broome County, and so we have a lot of cases in family court. So that's really my specialty, I would say.
All right. And also with us is Becca and Elizabeth from RISE in Binghamton. Talk a little bit about your titles and kind of the mission of RISE.
So I'm Elizabeth Johnson. I'm one of our case advocates, and I'm typically co-located at family court one day a week. And I've been with the organization about 6 years now, and I know Becca's been here, gosh, 8, 7?
Yeah, going on 8. I manage our advocacy services. Elizabeth and I both have a background. We started in shelter, actually, working there, and she is now an advocate. I was an advocate for a period of time, and now I manage the non-res program. RISE is a comprehensive domestic violence program located in Broome County, which is kind of like a fancy way of saying we're a one-stop shop. We try to be one area where a victim can come and get all their needs met, where we have counseling, advocacy, shelter, legal services, thanks to Legal Aid, and somebody can get all of their needs met without kind of having to go all over the place.
Okay. I'll walk me through, and we'll start the first half of the conversation kind of focusing on RISE and how victims of domestic violence and sexual assault kind of come to you. But walk me through just when somebody initially can contact RISE and, they're saying that they're being abused, and how do they go about initially calling you or contacting you through the website or whatever?
So we try to have as large of a safety net throughout the community as we can. So we have advocates like Elizabeth located throughout the community. So we have advocates at Family Court, Johnson City Police Department, Broome County Sheriff's Department, and Child Protective Services to try to catch some people that may fall through the cracks but are receiving other services or are victimized in other ways. So that's part of how victims come to us, is through those referral sources. We also have a new chat feature on our website, which is very exciting. So during business hours, people can just contact us. An advocate picks up that chat and then has a conversation, answers any questions, tells them about our services, whatever they may need. We also have our 24-hour hotline, which is operated through our shelter and is staffed by somebody working in the shelter at all times. So somebody can call that and answer questions. We like to meet people where they're at. So you don't have to be leaving a relationship. You don't have to even want to leave yet. You can just know maybe something doesn't feel right and you just want to talk to somebody. So we meet people at the very beginning stages where maybe they're just starting to realize that something's going on. There's power and control in their relationship, and they just want somebody to talk through that, all the way to people wanting to leave, needing to get out of the house, contact the police, get an order of protection, the whole process. So from beginning to end stages, we try to be there for people. One of the things that you mentioned is when can they contact us? And we define domestic violence as power and control over another person. So a lot of times people will ask us, I'm not being hit, can I still work with you? And the majority of our clients, maybe physical abuse never happens, which that's a great thing. However, power and control can mean so many different things. So we try to talk through things with people to see, do you feel like somebody has power over you? And if so, how can we help you get out of that?
What are some of the biggest hurdles you see out there? We mentioned a little bit about, the possibility of like lack of actual physical evidence. But what are some like other hurdles you see that victims struggle with initially contacting you?
Well, I think that most people in an abusive relationship are being broken down in some way, where an abuser might be telling them that nobody will believe them if they seek help, or they might be very good at hiding the abuse that they're perpetrating on that person. So something that we really take care to do is, we believe people who come to us. We've heard a lot of strange situations, and we know that everybody who experiences some kind of abuse is an individual in a unique situation. So I think just being very, very open as people are contacting us, and making sure that people feel heard is a huge part of what we do, and really what we're looking to do, especially during that initial first contact with people.
There's also the hurdles of finances. People don't know how they're going to support themselves. There's a lot of threats and manipulation used around family court, which I know Lauren can speak a lot to, and we hear all the time that if it's a system you don't know how it works, it's very scary to enter into. If somebody's threatening to take your kids away from you, that's a very intimidating situation, and that's another type of power and control that can be used in that relationship. So the hurdles, really, it's whatever may be keeping that vulnerable person stuck in that spot. Like Elizabeth said, a lot of times people are embarrassed. They don't want to talk about what's going on because they don't think they're going to be believed, or how could I possibly have gotten into this situation? And that's where our shelter is really great, because it's just a support system where you can be wholeheartedly surrounded by people who are there to listen to you and validate your truth and what you're feeling.
That's awesome. I was looking on your website. You have counseling services. You have obviously a physical place for them to stay. What other kinds of things do you offer, and do you want to go any kind of deeper into some of those services?
So I'll talk a little bit about the counseling, and then I'll let Elizabeth talk about advocacy. So for counseling, we have individual and group counseling. And I think it's always really important to know over and over again that all of our services are free, including shelter. So there is absolutely no charge at all, and you will never be asked to pay anything. Our individual counselor meets with people, obviously individually. Right now it's over the phone, but there is an ability to come into the office if you're more comfortable with that. She can meet with people 6 to 8 times, and then we make referrals after that to other organizations. And then we have group counseling. So we have a therapeutic group and we have an educational group. They both run for 8 weeks, and they're great because they provide different things. Our educational group can kind of just go over what a healthy relationship looks like. A lot of times people don't even know what that is. What's a red flag? How do you set a boundary with somebody? Is this okay or is this not? What that means for you as an individual. Our therapy group is more of a support system, where it's a lot of times victims who have been through it and they're out of the relationship, and now they just really want to talk to other ladies or men who have been through the same thing. So that's really our counseling services. And then our shelter is a 7-bedroom, 7-bathroom house. I always like to tell people, and I'm sure Elizabeth had the same experience, when I started there and I was brought to the building, I had no idea what to expect. I thought it was going to be like a big white room with cots along the walls and like a shared bathroom and, kind of a fend for yourself situation. But I was so relieved to see that it was a big, beautiful house There's a playground, there's a playroom, there's a kitchen. It's really set up to feel like a home. There's a kids reading room, and it's staffed 24/7. So like I said earlier, there's always somebody available to talk to you. While you're in shelter, you receive all of our services. So there are groups in shelter, there's individual counseling, there's advocacy, and then our crisis intervention counselors also do counseling all throughout the day also. And then I'll have Elizabeth talk about advocacy.
So, I say all the time, I love my job because as an advocate, I get to help people sort of throughout the community. There are major, organizations or systems that we focus on advocacy with, whether that's, all of the various benefits and programs at DSS, which can be very intimidating to try and navigate, or whether that's the criminal court system or the family court system. But again, we look at each case on an individual basis, and we're able to sort of help people with the various barriers that they might be facing as they're trying to leave or not leave an abusive relationship. We never will tell a survivor that they have to leave or that they have to do anything like that. We're really here to support them and help them figure out what they want to do. And advocacy can be a great step to that, whether it's just having somebody to talk to who sort of understands the cycles and the dynamics of an abusive relationship. And it can be a great stepping stone to enter one of our other services as well, whether that's shelter or counseling. And typically we're able to be very mobile and meet people throughout the community. So if that looks like an accompaniment to DSS, because again, it can be very intimidating, or an accompaniment to family court, those are things that we're typically able to do in a, less crazy world than the one we're living in right now.
Thank you so much. That was a really good and comprehensive answer. I appreciate that. So when a survivor is in RISE and able to get access to some of the services, and they want to, take it a step further and say, I really need some legal representation, what happens then?
So one of the things that we cannot do is be attorneys.
Right.
We cannot give legal advice. And a lot of times that's what our clients are looking for. People who reach out to us want a hard and fast answer. What is this going to look like if I file in court? And we can't give that. We can assist short term with filing emergency petitions, but we reach out to legal aid and make referrals almost constantly with every client who is looking for legal counsel or legal advice. We make that referral. Thankfully, we have a great working relationship with legal aid, and they are almost immediately hooked up with an attorney as soon as we make that referral, as long as the conflict check goes through.
Okay. And Lauren, so how do you and the staff down in Binghamton and Broome County start to become involved with the clients and the survivors?
Sure. So it comes to us in a couple different ways. One is through the family court contract, where someone may have worked with someone from RISE or on their own filed a family offense petition or even a custody petition at the same time, and they apply for assigned counsel, and then they come to us as long as we don't have a conflict. Or else there's a fly flying around me, so if I look like a crazy person. Or else there's someone who is working with an advocate from RISE, and RISE makes the referral to us, and we do a conflict check. And because of this grant we have through RISE and through the Office for Victim Services, we then can accept the case and start working with them right off the bat. And then some of our clients also come to us through the helpline, which is through our entire organization, and they call in, they can get some advice, but they will also be working with RISE frequently. I know that the RISE advocates have worked with our clients using the helpline as well.
And so if the client comes to you and says, look, I'm looking to get action right now. I need a way to, a barrier between me and my person that's abusing me. What are some steps that they can take like right away with them and even their family, their children that they may have to protect themselves?
So I can answer that on the legal side, and then I think Becca and Elizabeth can talk about it more on like the safety planning side of things. On the legal side, if they come to us and they say, I need protection right now, which basically is I need that order of protection saying that my abuser needs to stay away from me, stay away from my children, stay away from the home where we're residing. We then would file an emergency family offense petition and ask the court to hear it on an emergency. The court doesn't always do that. Sometimes they do. Things are a little different during COVID, of course, because the courts weren't fully open, but we are able to file it on an emergency and hope that we get that emergency temporary order protection right away.
So on kind of the RISE safety planning side, when we get that phone call or that person reaching out to us as a walk-in, whatever it may be, that says, I need help right now, we always try to offer our shelter as an option. Because there's no guarantee that emergency order request is going to be heard, we try to make as many backup plans as possible, which we kind of call a safety plan. We go through the same process as Lauren and Legal Aid does, where we can assist somebody, and that's what Elizabeth does at Family Court, is sit at the petition window and assist people in filing for that emergency petition to see if it will be heard. And like Lauren said, sometimes it's not. So it's great when it is heard and a petition is, or order of protection is issued and served right away, and that person is then safe and we plan around that. However, when things don't go perfectly planned, like they oftentimes don't, we then come up with other plans for the client. So that may mean shelter, that may mean staying with a friend or a family member, that may mean changing the locks if possible that night. We work with the person to come up with that individualized plan to figure out what will make them feel safe if they do get that order and if they don't get that order.
And Lauren, you touched a little bit on this, but what exactly does an order of protection do?
Sure. So there are different types of orders of protection. One can be issued out of family court and one can be issued out of criminal court. With criminal court, there needs to be criminal charges pending. In family court, there needs to be an intimate relationship between the petitioner and the respondent. It could be a parent and a child, a husband and a wife, a boyfriend and a girlfriend. It's supposed to be more than just mere roommates, basically. And so you file that petition, and to get the order of protection, then the order of protection could say that someone has to stay away from someone else, stay away from their home, stay away from their person, stay away from their place of employment. It could say that they can have no communication with each other, no phone, in-person, text, email, anything like that. It can include no third-party communication. And then there's also what we refer to as the no harass paragraph, basically saying that the person cannot commit a family offense against you.
Okay. And what are the repercussions if an abuser is in violation of an order?
If someone violates the order of protection, then the protected party would call the police and would say, this person has violated my order of protection. That person could then be charged with a crime. The first offense is a misdemeanor. If they are convicted of the misdemeanor level, the next offense is a felony level offense if they continue to violate the order of protection. And each contact counts as a violation. So if the abuser texts 5 times, that's 5 violations of the order of protection.
Wow. What if, somebody's saying this, they go to you, a client comes to you and says, Lauren, I think this might be something where, I'm looking at getting a divorce from this person, where it's going to just not only kind of go from necessarily an order and it's going to maybe a divorce or custody stuff. What kind of advice, counsel, representation can legal aid provide in that type of situation?
So it depends on how the case is coming to us in part. If it's coming from Broome County Family Court as an assigned counsel case, then we can do the custody and visitation piece with the client, and we can do the family offense piece with the client. We can't do the divorce because you aren't entitled to assigned counsel on divorce. However, we receive grants and monies from other places, which we could refer the case over to, either through our VOCA grant, which is through RISE, or through VAWA, which is federal money. And we could help someone with a divorce that way, as long as we have the resources to do it, which we don't always have the resources. We might have too many cases. We might not have a current staff member who can handle it or something like that. But we can absolutely, in family court, do the custody visitation piece of it as well.
Okay. I want to go back to RISE. Let's say a victim is also conscious of possibly like time, like this might take a long time. And I don't know how long I can be in your program. Is there any kind of thing you can do to ease people's worries out there that might be like, oh, this is going to be a lengthy process, and I don't know if I want to, be a part of a program like that, or, is there any kind of time limit that I can be at RISE or be with RISE?
So one of the things we really like to stress to people is that our program is completely voluntary. So even if you're mandated by Child Protective Services or family court, which sometimes happens to do our victim pattern changing group, we cannot make you, and we will not make you do that. We only have you do it if you would like to. There is no time limit. So we have clients that we talk to once for 15 minutes and we never hear from them again. We also have people that I opened up 7 years ago that are still on our client list and still need that support, and that's okay. So it's very much tailored to what somebody wants. And if we're after, a day, a month, a year of working with somebody, they want nothing to do with us anymore, that's okay. That's their choice, and we honor and respect that. And we actually really like people to set boundaries and learn that skill. So
For our shelter, there's no minimum stay either. We have people come in for a night sometimes, and that's what they need in order to be safe for that night, and that's totally okay. We have other families or people who come in and stay with us for, up to 2 months, up to 60 days. And that's okay too. It's really that level of support that that person is looking for, and that we try to provide.
All right. Is there anything that I'm missing? Any other, things that you want to provide people out there who are interested in RISE and legal aid, and anything that I missed?
one of the things I did want to mention about the violations of orders of protection is that one of the great things about us kind of being mobile and all-encompassing is that if somebody does have that order of protection and it is being violated, they can contact us. And if they're afraid to contact the police, for whatever reason that may be, we can accompany them to the police department to make that report. So it's an intimidating process, especially because a lot of times survivors don't know if they're going to be believed or if it's enough of a violation. So we can accompany to whatever police jurisdiction that is and help them file that report.
Okay.
And something else I'd like to add to is, we've had some pretty severe domestic violence incidents that have made the news in our community lately. And I just want to stress that, we're here for people. We talk to a lot of friends and family who are concerned about somebody in their life who might be experiencing domestic violence. It's okay to call us if you're concerned about a family member. If you need some guidance about how to support that person. And of course, if you're experiencing that as well, we're definitely in the community and happy to help however we can.
Awesome.
I would say one other thing to mention is that through family court, you can apply for a confidential address order. And also the RISE shelter is like the best kept secret. I have no idea where it is in Broome County. I mean, I think I have a slight idea, I'm not telling anyone else, but like, I don't know where it is. And I've been practicing here for 11 years, and I was in integrated domestic violence court, like the time where I would find out. I don't know where it is. So this is something that, like, they have a PO box. Your address can be held confidential. If you're afraid of where you're going or anything, RISE can work with you to help figure that out. legal aid can help work with you. We work really well together to make sure that everybody's as protected as they can be.
Yeah,
Awesome.
Lauren, that's a great point. Thanks for mentioning that. And to piggyback on that, there's actually a federal address a state address confidentiality program. So in addition to having your address confidential through family court, we can assist you in making sure that it's confidential throughout the state. So with NYSEG, with any other bills you may have, you use a PO box that's in Albany, and nobody can find out your actual address as well.
Awesome. All right, Becca, manager of advocacy services, Elizabeth, family court advocate, and Lauren, managing attorney at Legal Aid Society of Mid New York, of the Binghamton offices. We also have the Broome County contract. My name's Alex Simon. I'm with the Legal Aid Society as well, Director of Communications and Development. Real quickly, I wanted to ask Becca and Elizabeth, how can people look at your organization? Where can they contact you? Anything that you want them to kind of pay attention to?
So you can go to our website, which is www.rise-ny.org. From the website, you can see in the top left-hand corner now, there is a chat with us button. You can click that and send a message, and one of us will get literally right back to you. You'll also see the hotline number, which is 24 hours. That's 607-754-4340. Like I said, somebody is always available. I always like to encourage people, if you're up at 3 a.m. and have questions, to call because they're bored. So call and ask questions. We love to answer them. And then our administration office is located in Endicott. And you can reach us at 748-5174. And again, we are available to answer questions at any time, whatever question that may be. So we have never been asked a dumb question. We have never been told something that we did not believe. Our job is to, again, hear your truth and help you do what you want to do. So feel free, like Elizabeth said, if you're a family member, we a lot of times get moms calling saying, I think my child is in a situation, how can I talk to them about that? And we kind of walk through that and process. So give us a call, give us a chat feature. You can call our hotline if it's safer for you to text. We can then hook you up with a text number, and we can text you as well.
Awesome. And if you want to get in touch with the Legal Aid Society of Mid New York, you can call our helpline number at 877-777-6152.
Yeah.
And our new website, LASMNY.org. That's LASMNY.org. This is brand new. We launched our online intake system, so you can actually apply for services online as well. And yeah, thank you, Lauren. Thank you, Becca and Elizabeth. Thank you so much for being on with us today. I'm going to provide you guys copies of our conversation so you can distribute on your social media channels. And yeah, feel free to contact the Legal Aid Society anytime. And thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks. Bye.